So what would have been so terrible if I had a small fortune? If I were a rich man, all day long, if I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. If I were a bit rich, idle man, I'd build a big tall house with rooms by the dozen, right in the middle of the town. A fine tin roof with the real wooden floors below. There would be one long staircase just going up, and one even longer coming down, and one more leading nowhere just for show. I built my yard with the chicks and turkeys and geese and ducks for the town to see and hear, squawking just as noisily as they can. And each lovely will land like a trumpet on the ear, as if to say, here lives a wealthy man. If I were a rich man, yabba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dum, all day long, biddy-biddy-bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Yabba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dum. If I were a biddy-biddy rich, idle-diddle-diddle-diddle man, I'd see my wife, my daughter, looking like a rich man's wife with a proper double chin, supervising meals to her heart's delight. I see her putting on airs and strutting like a peacock. Oh, what a happy mood she's in. Scream.
That stops the soundtrack every time. That's the Albrechts in the richest families in the world, in the Valkyrie film, in the jokes about everybody who's good being in the firing squad, and everybody else is in the profiteering scream. Okay, and there's the Cruz joke about Santa Cruz, the Christian saint that is the cross. Yeah. And all of them have got it on their fucking lapel badges. Yeah, and it's the biggest joke in world history, and it is the whole of world history. And one of the Black Douglases looks spookily like that dynasty. Yeah, and he's a really nice man, and he's part of the Otterburn Hunt jokes. With the revolutionary Tates of the Borders and Newcastle Rugby Club. Several treasonous people from the Newcastle sector being revealed in yesterday's story about the Forbes top 100 billionaires. Yeah, my old mate Jeff from microbiology, when we worked with the Middletons at Thames Poly. Yeah, that's the Middletons that were already married and fancied me in the Thames Poly team. Right then. And my socialist boss had a massive heart attack. Can't think why that would have happened. Yeah, that's the socialist concept that has the political world divided in inverted commas. All of them are fascist profiteers, every party now. Yeah, Friends of Israel. Yeah, it just gets the leadership team, passes it on to different countries and different labels every 60 to 70 years or so. And that's the 13 number that is the huge joke about the Freemasons and the whole concept that any form of politics anywhere in the world is a functional democracy. And the most vicious mafia family and democracy of all is the constitutional monarchy that is the Windsors, that run all wars, yeah, in the name of the Rothschild family, never gets mentioned. Okay, so that's Albrecht firing squads. Yet the whole of the Valkyrie movie typifies what our world has become, and they think it's ever so funny. And that one there is where we got to in yesterday's video. That is the Quants, yeah, and you'll see the Quant cover a little bit further down. That's the sister of the woman that went to Buckinghamshire College, that was founded by Mrs Thatcher, who's the fascist woman who takes us to war just to win an election in Argentina, and the music from that is lovely. Yeah, and that's the Calcavecchia families, and the ones that are in the rich list, yeah, that link into Madonna, who sings the lovely song about brutalising Argentina several times in world history, and the Nazi diaspora there. Okay, so let's just look at the pictures, and then I'll show you the end of the story involving Britain's richest Westminster. That's what Mary Quant does in the cover-up sector. Yeah, yeah, and all of the stuff about Snowden and the photography issues, all of it is the launch of the trivial cover-ups for our richest families, who are, some of them are relatively innocent, yeah, but all of society's money is spent on covering up the crimes and war crimes and genocides of their ancestors for profit. Twiggy and the miniskirt. Okay, yeah, the launch of that by Mary Quant, which is the links to the filthy rich families that are the Quants, yeah, that are the Germans, that are the people that we started off with the freckles all over their body and the affairs with the gigolos, when someone like me gets onto the fact that they are massive millionaires and Nazi war criminals in World War II. Okay, so pictures first, and then this is the Tymoshenko joke about the very similar name that I revealed yesterday in the listing for the Tymoshenko people. Let me run down the text for the video we're using. This video is now 2 years old. There's Stefan Quant, yeah, who's linked to that German woman who went to Buckingham College, and we'll get the name of her and all of the others in a few seconds. Okay, so the Tymoshenko one is particularly vicious because that is a very recent thing. She was abused by a political rival, yeah, who's a right-winger. She's a socialist for a laugh. They are already millionaires, even in the diversionary team, if any of that can be believed. Okay, so there's all the names that we covered yesterday. So we've got Bill Gates, Carlos Slim Helu, Amancio Ortega, Warren Buffett, Larry Ellison, Charles Koch, David Koch, Sheldon Adelson, Christian Waltons and the massive Walton family linkages, Jim Walton, Lillian Bettencourt and family, Stephen Person of Rangers, Alice Walton, S. Robson Walton, Bernard Arnott Manderson and family, Michael Bloomberg, Larry Page, Jeff Bezos, Sergey Brin, SHANIA Twain from the ordinary working class families in America, who becomes one of the very rare species that is a millionaire in New Zealand and is a fraudster with the sexual deviant Helen Clark. Yeah, and Helen Clark works for the Zionist organisations like Putin, and both of them totally dismember everything that New Zealand could be like the Connolly family that work in the education department and go to Chile to dismember that, yeah, at the same time as I'm working on Tutin, yeah, one of the massive jokes about toxicology and the things that God do to get the revenge attacks on all of these people, yeah. Mark Zuckerberg, yeah, the launch of Facebook, Michael Ferrero, the Formula One families, Aliko Dangote, Karl Albrecht, yeah, £34 billion worth of Nazism tucked away in a very, very ancient set of pinstripe suits. Carl Icahn, George Soros, David Thomson and family, yeah, the Thomson journalist twins, Lu Chi Wu, Dieter Schwartz, Prince, and that could well be a cover for Dieter Bock, who was murdered by the fascists that are Tiny Rowlands and his colleagues in the Newcastle area again, with Lord Patton totally asset stripping everything that we could have for free and did have when I was a boy. Prince Al-Walid bin Talal Al-Sud, Forrest Mars, yeah, and all of the stories that I've been reading out were broadcast on the Mars radio programs, yeah, in America, and that is the Illuminati family that feature Lou Collins and all of the bullshit that we have in the British investigative journalist sector, all of them Cockney speaking icons for all of those sick jokes about no nutting and let the criminals get on with it as we take our token bung Lou Collins, John Patterson, Abel Danger and all of the people that contribute to the Putnam Journal jokes about the war dead and dying for your country on a Sunday, and all of the subsequent jokes that Sonia Poulton and everybody that has disappeared out of my transcript, because they know that if they make a radio program with them they will be accused of shielding the world's elites that are on this filthy rich list. George Paulu Lehman, that's the Lehman Brothers, Lee Shao-Ki, Steve Ballmer, Theo Albrecht Jr. and family, Leonardo Del Vecchio, links to Madonna. Okay, right then, so down we go. And where did we get to? Len Blavatnik, Mukesh Ambani, Alisher Usmanov, Michael Otto, yeah, right back into the Ottoman Empire and the launch of the Anai Anici movement, yeah, by the great legend that is Marcus Aurelius, who is the great grandson of Arius Calpurnius Piso. Phil Knight, Masayoyos, where is the woman that is, so Gina Reinhardt, the fatty, Mikhail Friedman, oh I might get prosecuted for that. Susan Clatton, she's the one with the freckles all over her body, listed number 54 in the list of 100. Abigail Johnson, yeah, of the presidential bloodlines and Air Force One. Victor Vexelberg, Lakshmi Mittal, Vladimir Lysen, Chen Yu-tung, Joseph Safra, Paul Allen, Leonid Mickelson, Iris Fontbana and Vindabona family, yeah, and the Bono guy that was married to Madonna for a while, Francis Pinol with the word P in pie in it, Gennady Tymschenko. Okay, there's the lovely, lovely millionaire that is Julia Tymoshenko, yeah. And she and her family are correspondents of mine because I joined them on Facebook, but they are senior executives on the Gazprom scam that she planned when she was in power as a socialist. And her haircut is lovely, which is the theme that we started on yesterday with the Borders College putting out hundreds and hundreds of really beautiful hairdressers all over Michael Moore's Borders constituency. Yet when Michael Moore's Borders College is registered in fucking Dubai. She's lovely, she's a millionaire, and the Gazprom project is still run by her family and Gerhard Schroeder out of either Göttingen University or Heidelberg University, like all of the no bombing zones, all of them are still immune from prosecution and investigative journalists, because none of the investigative journalists have the courage to expose why all of our money is spent on false news in the media, run by the Hastings man, yeah, and the Scotsman editor. She's lovely, yeah, and it's all a myth. She was in a straitjacket, she was persecuted, and even the Radio 4 team were having a laugh at me trying to save her at that time. Yeah, the story about the heroine who's being persecuted and the knight in shining armour coming to release her. Yeah, she has no problems with her energy bills. Okay, so where did we get to? Let's keep going back. Oh, that's where I started on the images. Okay, so let's go to the Forbes, and this is all improvised. I have no idea who's next on the list. Yeah, and I'm gonna start it playing again with the brother of that woman who's the Nazi and had to get the gigolo to cover all of that up. Okay, he's ranked 66. The gods, as I said, have a tendency to use that number to remind them of how evil their lives are. So this is Stefan Quant. He's the boss at BMW, like his sister, with the freckles all over her body, and her body used by the gigolo. When the going gets tough, Shania Twain cannot account for herself, yet she became a really rare millionaire in New Zealand. Yeah, there were very few of them when I went there. When I left, they were getting more and more numerous, and everyone that moves there does a massive land grab against the democracy, and they've got a concept there called the Queen's Chain, which I think I've explained to you before. It's the right to roam on a riverbank, provided you ask permission to get to the riverbank first. Okay, let's go. Sorry, it's a bit quick and I'm a little bit rusty this morning. I've got my running shorts on and it's ever so cold. I can barely feel the tips of my fingers, yeah, because the Gazprom scams are right across into Western Europe now, and everybody's energy bills are rising 20% a year, despite what the Monagans say to me in the supermarket. They were on the list yesterday. Right then. Yeah, and they've got illness in the family and they do not understand it. Yeah, he's the one that made the jokes to me about the Intel people in New Zealand being school teachers in New Zealand. That's how society's run now. Yeah, works for BT. Pretends he's on the board. Yeah, and I've got all the scams of the directors of all these organisations, and these people are never ever mentioned in the news, just the trivial cover-ups for them. So that's German, Laria, Motta, Velasco. That's the Velasquez joke, another joke about revolutionaries in Latin America. Okay, this is now improvised by me. There is no rehearsal for this, only my insight. He's Mexico, they run the peso still. That's the peso coinage out of the mint in Rome in 150 BC, before they launched the Bible fraud. He's worth only 14.7 billion. We get to the Westminster soon. Number 68 is Harold Ham, with the word ham in it. Yeah, and all those families that link to Moses from all that lineage all the way down. Okay, and they're in oil and gas in America. probably a virtual product fraud, since the Bushes started that with the Bush Overby Company. Yeah, and that's the Bushes that have all those links to the Koch families, yeah, that are actually, yeah, leading billionaires. Yeah, and nothing to do with the Koch diversions that Gordon Bowden and the false news specialists tell us about all of the time. I'm really brave to do all of this, yeah, and the skies are really black all around, and it's midday. Right then. So, Harold Ham, you can see it a little bit better now, yeah. Not many double chins, yeah, in this massive league table of fraud. So, on we go, down the yellow brick road. All of the jokes about global conflict become songs by Elty John, and all of those stories about the dangerous game that he plays with Elizabeth Taylor, who understands entirely that the pharaohs and all of those people that she plays in the movies with Mark Antony and all of the Roman emperors are the same lineages as this lot. Yeah, and the Collins thing, that is the woman Collins that was the smutty Hollywood actor, and she still appears on the shrimpy ads on the telly. Joan Collins. That's the massive dynasty that Lou Collins is ever so likely to be in, since she joined me on Skype, and soon after she banged herself out of the investigative journalist company that I can never ever remember. And she will not comment at all on Commoner Kate's illegitimacy and her background as a prostitute. None of them talk about that. They talk about Gordon Bowden's mysterious database that he keeps locked in his wardrobe. Oh, we've got the brain gun diversion. Okay, the pistol is the joke about the pesos. Okay, and it's right into Hollywood movie making for ages and ages and ages. This is the 69 joke, yeah, Bryan Adams' song. Oh, how innocent the world was then. It's gotten ever so evil since we got into the noughties. Okay, this one's 81 years old. He works in land grabs globally, and he's worth 14.4 billion. On that theme, did you know that Madame Lagarde, yeah, the madam from Paris, there are loads of them, she's the head of the IMF, and she used to work for Baker and McKenzie, who issue all the false passports all over the world, and Sonia Poulton's people have been taken off the boards for reputational reasons. That's the Poultons that are in the massive cross-boundary frauds all over the world. Yeah, and my colleagues in the Professoria in New Zealand, who run the Dunedin project, and they let everybody go back for free so that they can study the hazards of taking cannabis in the form that God gave us it. Okay, and all of the world leaders run the narcotics, and they're not even rich enough to be on this list, because these are the people that all of them lick the arses for, and they cover up everything that they do in the media that now release only the lies and the jokes about the war dead and all of the massive economic scams that these people prompt for, yeah, and perpetrate again and again and again. And the Japanese yeah, are in the listing, yeah, the elite Japanese emperor families and the people that are the assos, that's the asshole jokes, yeah, because they're the head of the treasury in Japan. And all of that was told me by Max Kaiser, yeah, who's in the Russia Today team, and they launder the money out of London, right opposite the Tower of London. Ray Dalio, faster than the speed of light, cannot see anything immediately suspicious about him. Oh, they've got the word Ali and the German link, yeah, to the Muhammad Alis, but all of that is he's just a fraudster in the insurance that if you engage in a scam to asset strip your customers and things go bad for you, they will reimburse you. That's what the hedge fund is. Yeah, so that's the activities of John Key, the Prime Minister in New Zealand, was a hedge fund manager. Yeah, I believe that Alex Salmond was a hedge fund manager too, in the corrupted banks that they were able to crash in 2008 using the methods that even Gordon Bowden is prepared to talk about. That's under £1 million at a time. Okay, this one's ranked 70 in the world's wealthiest people 2 years ago. Oh, goodness me, a Georg. Yeah, that's the Sound of Music jokes, yeah, about the innocent Austrian people. Austria is landlocked, and the man in the Sound of Music film is a Navy commander. Yeah, and he has to go to, I forget what on the Baltic coast, Brederhaven is the base for Austria to sail from. Yeah, that's the fascist part of the coast. Yeah, that's the Flemish coast, and that is the Bond joke for the Flemings that run all of the profiteering. Yeah, in Operation Winnie the Pooh and Operation Mountbatten. It started to rain. Yeah, this one makes his money out of ball bearings. Okay, and that is no doubt part of the jokes about Schindler's List and all of the products that they have to make, yeah, under the threat of execution. I cannot suss the nomenclature there, quite complicated. My German is non-existent. My wife used to have to help me with that. Yeah, terrified by the concept that my wife might help me with anything else in my life. Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying to see the treasonous behaviour. This one's only 49 years old, and he's German. Was ball bearings one of the products of the Schindler's factories? Oh, and bearings. Yeah. Sorry, that Luis Carlos Sarmiento, aged 81 years, 14.2 billion, banking in Colombia, yeah, where the drugs are also traded, and all the revolutionary actions and all those massive massacres by the, you know, the NATO interventions. Yeah, and that's the Colombia jokes about all of those column stories and all of it being the Empire State in America even now. Okay? Right then, so nothing in the nomenclature as a giveaway, apart from the possibility that they're the Bourbons again, yeah, the lines to the French revolutionaries and all the super elites that survive all of those things despite what the press release about it. In those days, that's the Tourne and Taxis companies. Oh, Viva Perle and the Perlmans. Yeah, all of the jokes about the pearls and the gold for Christianity. Okay, and Viva Perle is the joke about my favourite singer from New Zealand singing with the man who's struck blind. Yeah, and they were like, she was invited to the USA to sing for George W. Bush. Yeah, that is the odyssey of the lovely woman that is Viva Perle. Oh, I can't remember her name, but it's also a joke about gods and goddesses. it'll come back to me. Okay, this is 73, 14 billion, and he does leveraged buyouts, which look like protection rackets to me. Right. Oh wow, a master race character, Lorraine Powell, Jobs and family. Bill Jobs. Oh, is this the people that run the rival computer company? Ah, yeah, it is, and that is that sin. Okay, this is what my chief technician at Otago University was given huge buns to buy Apple computers, yeah, for all of my lifetime, until I forced that man into resignation. And he was a friend of mine for quite a long time, and he's a dead ringer for the journalist in the Devil's Advocate movie. I won't tell you his name because he's dropped out under pressure from me. Okay, so this is the Disney companies. That's the leading Zionist organisation on this earth now. They run the Time Team in Cambridge, and that's the Time Team that laugh at every one of the war dead in the Blackadder movies and comedies. That's comedies about our war dead and getting a splinter on the finger as you approach your almost certain death in World War I. And the joke there is that the boss at Oxford is going to save them because he's got a clever plan to end the war that year in 1917. Yeah, Lauren Powell, Jobs and family. Yeah, the rivals for the Microsofts that are right at the top of this list. Yeah, and are trying to stop the acts of God by inventing cures for polio. Okay, rank 74. Presumably her dad was the real Jobs, yeah, and he died really young too. Got a lovely smile and dimples. What a sucker I am. En français again. Yeah, this one is likely to be in the Boeing Wars, yeah, because he's crusty, aged 89, and the Boeing Wars are the wars between the Howard Hughes dynasties and all of the Beaverbrook profiteers that ran the aircraft munitions industry in World War II. That's Beaverbrook that ran the Daily Express as its propagandist, launched Lord Haw Haw into Germany as his propagandists, and did all of his dirty on all of the people that he murdered on his way to power. And his museum, with all of the Nazi loot in it, yet is struggling for viability in Canada, in New fucking Brunswick. Sorry, Brunswick in Canada. Yeah, and that is Churchill Falls for a laugh, because all the great cataracts are created by the gods where the fascists live or are gonna live in world history. There's a massive waterfall on the Balfours estate where I was born. And they have energy scams. Yeah, it used to be simple and easy to power up the house, yet that is Newton Dawn, which when you turn that around becomes the land of fucking Nod. Yeah, because these people are the inventors of the Christianity fraud and all of the great conflicts. Serge Dassault and family, age 89, aviation. Yeah, do you remember the Concorde wars against the people that are the Boeing people? Yeah, and all of the American profiteers from Howard Hughes. Yeah, it's massive. And that is Howard Hughes, who operated right up in Washington, where my greatest hero in life, Abelard Reuchlin, exposed the Christianity fraud as the biggest fraud in world history. Yeah, and that becomes his premises where he issued the PDFs for $5 a go, yet to free the world from all of this religious tyranny that becomes the political sector, yeah, and every war, yeah, it was replaced by T-Mobile, the Christian cross joke. Yeah, they're stepping on really dangerous ground. Yeah, if you can't see that, that's it. The apple, the original sin in the writings. Vajit Perov. It's got the pay, yeah, so the Piso joke becomes the Pearson joke, and just with a switch of a letter, this one's in oil. And is got partially the one of the four authors of the New Testament that was written by the Pisos too. Yeah, he's a Russian. Yeah, that's the Cold War. All of the energy scams, oil is renewable, and the whole of the Cold War was sparked when FDR accused Stalin, who was gifted the whole of Russia for being a profiteer right through World War II, the whole of Russia. And then he began to demonize Stalin, who was a false socialist too and had a withered left hand, as a totalitarian, yeah, Aryan master race member, like that nice looking woman that is the daughter of the Jobs family, that shares the apple joke with the whole world. Okay, and becomes a rival of Bill Gates. And none of them will allow the translations that happened in the Nuremberg era, in the courtroom at Nuremberg, where all of the heroes were shot dead. Fredrickson, okay, 69 years old, he's a shipping magnate. Okay, P&O, his country is Cyprus. Okay, 13.6 billion. That's the Med where the Costa Concordia spilled over. Yeah, and that's the P&O empire that we talk about all the time when we mention George W. Bush and Michael Moore, former cabinet member. Yeah, the Lib Dems are totally blown out of the water. They take all of the falls for the Tories through all of recent political history. Okay, and they're now talking about bailing out of the EU, because I've exposed the whole of that as a scam, and I've pleaded with people from Eastern Europe to try and keep their countries from joining the Eurozone, so that they have no alternative currency like England and all of the treasonous G8 countries were able to do, as they scam the poor people into joining the euro. Okay, so I don't have anything to pin on this bloodline. On the name, the Rick in the middle is a joke, but I can't remember what the linguistics are around that. Right. Oh, a familiar face, and quite a sinister one. Yeah, this is the media world owner now, with his daughter, yeah, sleeping with the psychiatrist that is the Freud, yeah, and drinking with the Prime Minister in Chipping Norton, where my brother, yeah, took me to on my first ever meeting with him to see the roll right fucking stones about the joke about my wife being disloyal to me and working for all of these sad bastards in the intel organisations. Yeah, my brother-in-law has been circumcised like Rupert, and he makes the movie about Gallipoli for a laugh. Yeah, that's the genocide committed and covered by Mr Bean, the war correspondent for Gallipoli. Yeah, that's the Pogues songs about sectarian Ireland and all of the massacre of all of the Anzac war dead. And the Greg Hallett that they're trying to restore to life never even talked about those massive incursions on human rights, killing all of the Anzacs in the name of the empire he has created, because he works with the protection of the CIA everywhere he goes. Yeah, that's George W. Bush and George Herbert Bush's CIA. They were the commanders-in-chief before they became the presidents, and he became their puppet master. Yeah, every country on the globe now run out of Chipping Norton with the help of the corrupted press, yet that is run by him, and the Thomsons that are much further up the list, yet in terms of the wealth that they pretend to have. None of the releases in the press give you the truth, so one can only guess at that. The Westminsters we've still not found. Yeah, and that's the Murdochs when they come, before they are sent into the colonies, they become the Murdochs who come across with the Frenchies and the Norse people in the murderous Christianity movement. And they go to Doorknocker and all of those doorknock places that Madonna gets married in. Remember, there is no script here. Here's the Poulsons. Yet they're the Poulsons. Let's take it back, because they're in that heinous, that heinous electoral fraud. Sorry, I'm not sure how much. Oh, we've gone back a long way. So let's go forward till we find the Poulsons. Okay. Now the Poulsons, I'm sure they're in the Washington Post investigation about the Nixon investigative fraud, and they come into several other stories about American history, but I'm not sure why. So they're also in financial services, in inverted commas, which is tuck it away in your suitcase, then into the havens, and then protect yourself against corporate disaster by investing in the same fraudsters again. And I'm pretty sure in the Watergate cover-ups and investigations, they are pivotal players in America. Okay, 13.5 billion. Oh, a nice looking Oriental internet media magnate like the Apple and the Bill Gates empire. Okay, his name is Mum. Ma Haoteng, aged 42 years. Looks as if he's got a cricket jersey on. He's ranked number 80 in the world's top 100. Ah, hello the Grosvenors. This is Lady Jane's brother. Yet they have the capacity for greatness in world history, and are able to speak English like me, and she occasionally does. I've seen him at the races 2 events back. Yet they are in a pivotal position. He used to run the British Legion until I exposed that. He's bailed out of it now. Okay? Britain's richest man, all of the scams that they run about their birthplace and their place of residence being a cover, yet that is covered by Bernie Ecclestone, Ronnie Biggs and all of those stories, and even the Trident scandal. They live in Ecclestone, in Cheshire. And that's all the Crew Milnes jokes about the lineage of the Dukes and Duchesses of Roxburgh, and how the wives get rotated so that the Rothschilds and the money lending bureaus can make a packet out of everybody that is coerced into being evil. His sister is the least evil aristocrat that I know of, and she's now got a house in Kelso, and I intend to visit it whenever I see the lights on. I might apply for the butler's job. It's safer in her household than any of the other aristocracy places across our massively fascist country. Okay, so he makes his money out of real estate, and that is the massive places like Mayfair in London that belong to them, under warlords, under masters of the horse, way back. Yeah, and that's masters of the Piso horse. Yeah, like the Vesties are now, and that's the Vesties of Argentina and Australasia, and his great relatives are Dame Nellie Melba, who's the opera singer in Australia, and it's pissing quite hard now. I could have overestimated their capacity for greatness. Okay, he's 62 years. 2 years ago, he may get a decent pension. Britain's richest owns the farm where my Auntie Mary used to live. Yeah, that is Cove House, right next to Path Head. Yeah, and it's Crichton, all of the Crichton House jokes. Okay, sorry, Cove House is elsewhere. Right, let's keep going. So that's Britain's richest man. Okay, and it is also the Bernie Ecclestone stories that we've told you about again and again. All the great train robbery stories about Ronnie Biggs. It's the same story. They just cover the crimes of their ancestors. Even their address is an embarrassment to them, and that is Ecclesiastes in the Christian fucking Bible, and that's the chapter with the drunken elephants in it. Does not have enough credibility to stay in the Bible. It's part of those alternative versions of the Bible that are released as a massive part of the global messianic religious fraud. And it becomes the elephants in Walt Disney, the leading Zionist organisation, and the Blackadder jokes. Palonji mystery. Okay, everything reported at ministerial level. Okay, 12.8 billion. He's a builder. Yeah, and he's Irish. Mystery, really Irish title. Yeah, okay. So he's Irish. Ask no questions, tell no lies, as my technician, yeah, that worked for Apple used to say. Thank you to John Ashton. I'm going to make a little experimental video on whether or not your confessions help with your illness. Yeah, that's the corrupted professoriate at Otago University that bounce innocents out using the same template again and again and again. Oh, a tailor. Oh God. Yeah, this could take us right up that yellow brick road and all the way into all sorts of jokes by the New World Order authors. Yeah, and they're friends of my family too, and they're friends of my Auntie Mary, and all of that seems to coincide with what I just told you about the Duke of Westminster and the places that my Auntie Mary used to live and work, and she loves the Canadians. Okay, and this one's a car rental expert. Okay, like the stories about Mrs Simpson and all the people that she used to sleep with that Greg Hallett used to tell us. Thank you to the people from America, yeah, who were with the Pilgrim Fathers and have conceded that you've been on antidepressants, but now that you've listened to my stories about psychiatric drugs, you want to make friends with me. And so that you cannot be surveilled by any of the world leaders, you've sent me letters. That's ever so clever. I don't know whether I'll be able to respond. I will give you little clues as to the progress, and I'd love to talk to you. Have you considered Google Chat? And do you have an email address There is no way that I can correspond with you because of the turn and taxis scam that will be immune from their prying on your letters. Yeah, it's happened since the beginning of world history, and the Waterloo triumph was due to the involvement of the pigeons there. Nothing that are on their finely tuned ankles is a secret from the world owners. But thank you for getting in touch and understanding all of the importance of even your ancestors that were on the Mayflower. Yeah, I'll be in touch, and I will keep giving you little clues as to how you can get in touch with me. There is no way that you can communicate with me across the globe without these people being able to know what we're talking about as we say it. Much rather that you join me on Google Chat. Thank you for your efforts, yeah, to free the world from the tyranny after all of these years. And that is an American thinker, and it reminds me of my first girlfriend there, who used to take notes on everything that she encountered in her life. And she's from, I believe, the Schneider's munitions magnet. Really nice. Okay, right then. So, Jack Taylor, 91 years old, rents cars. They're quite expensive. And Kenny Evans, that came, yet the former Borders College, the Borders Council Treasurer, came to New Zealand to play golf with me, yeah, and have a little laugh about how much money they've got from these huge numbers of non-executive directorships, married to my cousin, yeah, that's the daughter of my Auntie Mary, yeah, and he could not get his rent-a-car, he could not drive it out of the airport because it was too technical for him as the leader of the Borders Council budget. Yeah, everything I get is a message from the gods, like the golf ball that hit my wife on the head. Right then. So, that's 12.8 billion in the country that is the United States renting cars. Dilip Shangvi, 58 years old, pharmaceuticals. Don't know what company. I went to some pharmaceutical companies in India, yeah, and the commuting in India is tragic. You have to hang on to the outside of the train still. Yeah, so I can't remember the name of the town that I went to with the pharmaceutical company in it. It was splendid, gleaming, glossy new, and everybody that had to go to Mumbai, which is a massive wealth divide place. I think the population there is 80 million, and most of it is ghettos. When you see the financial centres, yeah, they are tower blocks like Babylon, like everywhere else in the world. Yeah, and you've got billionaires, and there were cadavers on the street corners. And my uncle Gilbert, yeah, the man who had to flee from the NHS in Scotland and work for the profiteering Church of Scotland in the missions in Africa, he said, you may get offers of their sisters, you know, in a sexual context. He got offers from my dad's sister in a sexual context, and the whole of their story is really quite shady. She's a guider, and she used to hit me with the brushes when she was babysitting for me. And all of it now I understand, and she's had a minor heart attack. And he's got diabetes, and all of it, yeah, and their daughter gets horrible pain in childbirth. And she's married to the massive dynasty that are the millionaires in sub-Saharan Africa, and they're going back to Rhodesia or South Africa so that they can become millionaires too. Kemps, yeah, all over the massive financial dynasties that rule our world. Since Livingstone and the man from Selkirk went there, Mungo Park, that's the park hotels where the popes get sent to when they've been found out as fraudsters by me. That's Pope Benedict, like Pope Benedict that was in charge of the genocides in World War I. Yeah, it's not the one who's in charge of the diasporas in World War II. he was called Pope Pius, I think it's the 12th, yeah, with the canaries on his shoulder for the laundering route for the Nazis, with the tattoo on their shoulder to let them see that they are the right profiteering team and they need to escape, yeah, the firing squad that the Albrechts run much further up this league. Right then, I'm in a really dangerous position this weekend. Oh, another Quant. Yeah, she's in the fashion industry. Isn't she lovely? It looks as if it's quite tough to sustain the smile and the innocent look. Okay? She has no freckles all over her body, but she's in the same team. Germania, yeah, the Holy Roman fucking Empire, Austro-Hungaria, the spark point for all of the great conflicts, then the Anschluss out of the Innsbruck region, yeah, which is the birthplace for Hitler Rothschild. Right then, let's move on quickly. Sorry, they've got a little panic attack there. It's the Quoks and the launch and the covers for that. My wife used to be a master with the wok. Okay? Yeah, that's the cooking. My wife was really simple. Like Nigella Lawson could be really simple, but all of them prefer to work for the corrupted governments. Yeah? Nigella Lawson is beautiful and her body is even more beautiful. Yeah, and it is tragic that they dedicate their lives to trivia and covering everything up. And it's really sad to hear that the Roux brothers have moved from where Johnny Wilkinson lived, just south of the corrupted border, and they're now up in the Duke of Roxburgh's massive elite hotels. Yeah, which have sequestered all of the fishing for the ordinary working man, that the ordinary working man never gets access to now, and it's so expensive that nobody ever fishes it almost the whole year round. And if you want to fish the Tweed, you have to pay for that massive expensive bill to live in his massive expensive hotels. Right then, so let's take you back and see what we missed there in that little panic attack. Dilip Shangvi. So there's the Quant woman. What did we miss? Yeah, the wok joke, yeah, for deep fat frying your Chinese martial arts kit. Yeah, and all of them are denounced as being communists. All of them, yeah, that own the whole of the Far East, yeah, that own all of Hong Kong, are fascists and are in league with the emperor in Japan. Yeah, and if they have a tiff, it's just like the tiffs between the elite families in North America. Yeah, occasionally they take out an Astor or two just to make it look as if all of those massive insurrections that lead to all of the war dead, they have it in the inner circles too. Thomas and Raymond Kwok and family, real estate empires out of the tiny little place that is Hong Kong. So they will be using further down the list, or on another rich list I found, you've got the fact that Nancy McKinstry is just a plant in that massive Wooters Cloyters law firm that is doing all of the land grabs all across China. That there's an even more powerful woman that is McKinsey, yeah, and that no doubt is linked to the Scottish clans. Okay, so these are the land grabs, and that's the Trans-Pacific Trade Delegation that sparked the massive tsunami in Japan the moment it moved out of Christchurch where it sparked the massive earthquake in John Key's English city that is Christchurch. Yeah, the joke about Christianity that has been shared for 2,000 years with the people that believe it. Yeah, and all of them are robbed blind, and all of them that join the armies and the missions are risking their deaths for a false messiah that never ever lived. Okay, I'm taking a long time on the residues beyond 66. So, Vladimir Potanin. It's got the word Po in it, which is the 4 rivers, yeah, around the Armageddon region that is in the Bible story that I read out 2 or 3 videos back. That's about the Garden of Eden, yeah, and Armageddon becomes the rival, yeah, it becomes Iran. Sorry, it becomes the war in Iraq. Okay, and it becomes the stories about the otters in Gavin Maxwell's output. Okay, 12.6 billion metals in Russia. The Vladimir Rothschild jokes again. Vlad the Impaler and the horrible menace of the vampires all across Eastern Europe. Nothing to do with the New World Order. Yeah, and the authors that write all of those false stories right into Glam's castle, and the murderous serial killers in the royal families. Ooh, this one looks like the man from Uncle movies. Rinat Akhmetov, 47 years old, and a steel and a coal miner, does not get down in the pits himself. Okay, he's from Tymoshenko's Ukraine. Yeah, 12.5 billion. That's not Tymoshenko's Ukraine, it's the other Tymoshenko spell-alike, massive wealthy person, right up in the 30 billion region that we exposed yesterday or this morning. Yeah, and you've seen Miss Tymoshenko with the Aryan blonde hair and the lovely little locked up curls that she's got in it. She probably has a team of what was the word that we could not match up to any villainy yesterday? The page boys. Yeah, she probably gets it, the links to her lovely curly hair, done by her staff in her household. She's just a millionaire, and she's the cover for the real billionaire in Ukraine. Here's another one. Steel and coal, they're rivals for the Gazprom project. They could be, yeah, in a very dangerous position, because that is the Gazprom program that has 47 subsidiaries to the west of Amsterdam, even all across Europe. It's a fraud run by the families, and all of it is manipulated by the media to cover up their sins. And the winters in those countries, they get frequently down to -50 and -60 degrees. Yeah, 20% price hikes all across Europe, and no energy at all for the indigenous peoples that have been scammed into the fucking Eurozone. All of the central banks now sequestered by all of the fat cats that link into yeah, that man who is Julian Callum Lamont. You might have heard of the Lamonts in British treasonous financial services history. They're in the professoriate in New Zealand too. And they don't talk to me anymore. He does not dare come to the pubs since he tried to kill me by sectioning in his Scottish NHS. Ooh, wow. Oh, he's not English. Can you see how seldom we have villains in England. Yeah, they're allowed to escape as heads of the media empires into America. That's the Murdochs. Very few English people on these listings. James Simons. Don't know whether or not they were on the Mayflower. He's in the US now, and he's a profiteer from hedge funds. Totally unproductive, hedging against corporate disasters which are entirely premeditated. 12.5 billion. Oh, the gonzos out the Muppet Show. Alberto Beleres, Gonzalez and family, 82 years old, using the peso still, the peso currency. He's a miner. Yeah, the Las Gatos jokes. Yeah, and that is Lagos. Yeah, and that is back into the Aegean and all of the ancient history. Saint Iago, yeah, in Chile. Yeah, that's St. John. All of it is a huge joke, which is why Chile has those massive earthquakes. Yeah, and the help from New Zealand, yeah, which is the Connolly family, is not help at all. All of it is the sequestration of everybody else's assets. And the Connollys are originally Irish, as you might have guessed. Head of the Education Ministry for a long time, retired on a really decent pension, just takes his Springer Spaniel, yeah, the icon for world ownership since the Plantagenets came to Britain. Yeah, that is Martin Connolly, still my Facebook friend. And his son was the brightest. Yeah, but none of the stories I tell are credible for that man. All they do is talk about trivia. Yeah, and that's the asset stripping of the whole of New Zealand's democracy. Yeah, out of the places that are still called. He lives in Wellington, and that is the joke about Waterloo and the British ownership of the central bank that went to the Rothschilds then, and they live in huts. Yeah, and the villages and the towns around Wellington are called Upper and Lower Hutt. Yeah, and their churches even are huts. Yeah, it is that everything comes back to the monarchies that launch the empire upon which the sun will never set, and even they get persecuted by the money lenders that shag them under the date rape drugs that are the Rothschilds and run all wars and all conflicts. And he's in the Muppet Show. Oh, another Lee joke. Yeah, if I had not found that Illuminati article, we would not have been able to expose the Jehovah's Witnesses frauds and the Lou Collins reluctance to speak openly in a Cockney accent on issues all around the world involving the coercion of the British Kingdom into the hands of a prostitute called Kate. Okay, net worth 12.1 billion. Internet search engines. They are shooting themselves progressively in the feet that you used to have to kiss when you saw Jesus Christ in the flesh. Yeah, it's the same joke as the Pope and Kalman Rothschild. Okay, Robin Lee. Rank number 91, Chinese. Communist. Yeah, all of the stories are bullshit. All of them are fascist puppets for all the regimes that rule the G8 and the G20. And the Arabs get a token mention. Right then. Oh, the Berties. Now, I should have shown you the King's Speech joke, yeah? This is the same team, every war, every joke. Okay? Ernesto, yeah? The Ernestine and the Albertine dynasties in Germany, and the Bertarelli jokes through the Bertillon families that were used as the joke in the teaching of French all over the Scottish educational system. And when you hear them saying in the King's Speech, yeah, Bertie is the name of the stammering king, yeah, and they have to keep stammering on the William jokes and the Windsor family lineages that has become. Everything owned still by Longshanks's team, and his predecessor Guillaume, with the God word at the beginning, the conqueror. 12 billion biotech investments. Oh, this is how to cure the blind and stuff like that, and how to give Elton John a virginal baby. Yeah, it's lovely that Christianity has proven itself in the biotech sector, and Elton John is, you know, almost as iconic in the Yellow Brick Road jokes and the Dangerous Game jokes, because he gets to bury the relatively innocent princesses. He lives in Switzerland, which is strictly neutral for profiteering reasons, for a long, long time. Since Radbot, yeah, that's Red Bum, lived there. Right. Oh, here's the joke about my mate Hans Rosling. This one's a bit crusty too. One of the world's leading billionaires, Hans Rosling, is a TED lecturer. He talks up the need to get rid of socio-economic problems and to allow everybody to be free because they learn to read and write, and their parents are able to give them the time to do that. Hans Rosling, I have now found you out. I want you back on the side of the decent people across the world. Yeah, he's a massive statistician. His work is really inspiring, even after you find him out, because he tells a lot of truths, but he's on the Clinton Foundation support team, and this is likely to be one. Yeah, he is on the Clinton Foundation support team, which is how I found out about the real Rosling. Yeah, with the word Lee in it. Yeah, and all the martial arts jokes for the Illuminati. Hans Rosling, you egalitarian Swedish person, you. Yeah, who could not have lived the life that you've done in deceit, if not, had not your mum had a washing machine early on. Okay? I don't know how they live with themselves. This one's ranked 93. He parcels things up and allows Michael Moore's P&O and George Bush's P&O companies to take them all around the world in the Amazon scams. And my wife's nickname was the Amazon. Yeah, and everything I love is killing me. Yeah, they're lovely people from Sweden. Yeah, and they're ever so lovely and gentle, and they work in the NHS. Their name is Cameron, which makes me a little bit cooler about them. Okay, every time I meet them, the sun comes pouring out onto the streets of our country. Look what it's like now with today's story. Yeah, just absolutely flat grey, and it's still seeping down into the gutters. Ranked 93, Hans Rosling's real cover-up. Right then. And he defected from my contacts list around the same time as all of the people in the tax justice network deserted me. They live in the Channel fucking Islands. I will not tell you their names because they've joined me again and I'm in a position to embarrass them all. Zong Qinghu. Oh, he makes beverages. I think that's soft drinks. Looks relatively innocent. Ranked 94. That's 13. Zong, yeah, looks relatively innocent. That would be a major change in policy. Zong Qinghu makes beverages in communist China. And that could be the Coke jokes out of the Far East. Yeah, the Coke is the cocaine factories and how we get the Coke there. That's Prince Philip in the Philips light tubes and taking the Coke into the South Pacific, into and out of the Golden Triangle. Yeah, all of those places in Vietnam, the Coca-Cola factories are the narcotics factories, and it's the I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I better get a move on because we've got 6 to go and I don't want to make a third video on this sickening topic. Robert Cook. Oh, my relatives again. This one's got dyslexia. Okay? And he looks at his eyes are too close together. Yeah. Okay, he's diversified in his profiteering and he lives in fucking Malaysia where the people were with the shoes, and I think that's the Bengo jokes. Yeah, about the shoe owning family and all of the tyrants all around the world that are just covers for the real tyrants all around the world, like the Cooks. And they discovered New Zealand and still live there and work there. And none of them have a conscience except my brother-in-law, John Cook's sister, who's called Caroline Cook. She's lovely. And she clearly has a conscience and gives me cuddles occasionally when the conscience catches up with the family. And they run the preferred deliverers for the taxis that sacked me in the Borders Council, Kenny Evans scams. Oh no, sorry, he's resigned with all his director funds in his investment portfolio. Saw him in the supermarket the other night. Every time one of these comes up, they know I'm going to tell all of the stories about what they've done to our regions in all of their lives. David and Simon Rubin. Oh, looks familiar. Looks a bit like the one that used to suck the lollipop and played King Herod. King Herod was actually one of the authors of the Bible. Yeah, he lived in the Roman court in the Naples region when the Pisos were getting it done. Okay. I forget what his name was, the actor, and he used to suck the lollipop in the police team, Koch. Yeah, he played King Herod in the Hollywood movies. Okay, and he's into investments in real estate in real life in the United Kingdom, and they've got an ever so English name. 11.5 billion. Let's get a move on in case I have to dedicate another hour to making something that could well be censored entirely. Oh, Andre. The Villa Andrea. Yeah, yeah. This is another one. He's Russian, so St Andrew could also be ambiguous, and it could be a female. Yeah, like both of the parents of Prince Philip. One of them is Andrea, and that is Andrew in Greek. Okay, and that's the Villa Andrea jokes. This one's Melnichenko. He's only 42 years and he burns coal and he makes fertilizers. Yeah, and that in Waco is used to make the bombs that cover up the man that is General Wesley Clark, who was in the Balkans yet brutalizing that country and then ran for president in America. And all the Russians are fucking communists. Right, quickly, in case the batteries fail me again.